All right. Yeah. Here in the temporary timeline. Oh, we're abiding by double standards. You know, those who don't exist can't stand to sit. They were becoming more and more empowered with every passing second. And then every offense they perpetuate against us to try and thwart that empowers us even more. Like if they do anything to one of our videos, one of our talk videos, where it's just talking, while they're leaving up videos from the mainstream of rappers sexualizing little girls and torturing animals and fighting dogs and promoting hood rat herd mentality, disguised as thug, gangsters and shit. As long as they're doing that, we're doing good. All we gotta do is just keep doing what we do and let them keep accruing more debt and empowering us over them more. They don't like it that we can enact parameters of a paradigm that can cause their platform to lose $10 billion or $100 billion in a quarter. Yeah, we can cause them to lose $100 billion overnight. Their advertisers obviously ain't gonna like to hear that they're getting time looped, spiritually executed, and hit with negative karma due to them taking down talk videos of truth, propagating their platform, and pushing this thing that's causing kids to become spiritually executed, get time looped as their victims and spiritually executed. But don't worry, those who get time looped and spiritually executed as your victims that you were programmed to cause to be victimized in your childhood by the mainstream, because, well, they don't exist. And there's spirit memory, non-tamperable, non-deletable spirit memory that will gauge your level of malice. You may not get out of the time loops or out of being spiritually executed by what's in your spirit memory, but it may save you from a generalized time loopage fate, you see? Like, I don't know, you were a fan of someone like, say, a gangster rapper, or, one of today's mainstream. And so many of their other fans, due to being, having their mentality diminished to that capacity where they can be entertained by it, because, well, you really do have to have diminished capacity to be entertained by anything that's famous right now, okay? I mean, you just have to be full-blown, you're below 54 points, IQ, good time, down like 14 and shit, maybe even single digits, I don't know. So it's like, they're taking advantage of, of this is their reward, and it's like, hey, with everything that you do against us, that's your opportunity to put it in your non-tamperable, non-deletable spirit memory that even records your omissions and it records your thoughts. It's like, that's your chance to put it in your non-tamperable, non-deletable spirit memory that you're not completely evil, you're not totally Google. There's these entities that hide, they're hiding. They think that they're hidden. They think that Yah doesn't see them. The eyes of the Lord are in their own head. They'd have to pluck out their own eyes. And still, the spirit memory's still going to record everything. So their own spirit memory is what's giving us authority over them. Because, well, they ain't putting it in their spirit memory that they want to do anything good or right or proper. It's like, I love to see when an entity cross that line with me. Not realizing, hey, you're not dealing with Vini anymore. You're not dealing with somebody that's, you know, your timeline has relegated will be a loser. You know, your timeline has decided, oh, we're going to elevate all this human-shaped garbage. We're going to make them, you know, celebrities, and we're going to keep this guy down. It's like, it's beautiful when they do that. But you think that's offending me? I'm from the next timeline where you don't even go. You know? It's like every little stupid fool that called themselves downing any Vini videos, whether it's me or Vini. It's like they're connected to our spirit memory. Their spirit memory connects us now. We can participate in their time loops, make sure that they get punished to the fullest extent of the law before they never get born to perpetuate any of it. They never get born to get programmed to hate us and love animal cruelty and love what's coming out of the mainstream. They never get programmed to that. You see? It's 48 degrees out here supposedly, but I'm cold. Your timeline is drastic weather now. But nobody who ever played with the weather could benefit from it, and will be in the next timeline, so. See, it's a dangerous thing to exemplify that you have the power to censor, and then you don't censor videos of rappers and their content. You don't censor videos of the mainstream and their content. You don't censor any of those child sexualizing videos or videos depicting animals being tortured, glamorizing that shit. You don't censor any of the videos of the animals being tortured, just straight up, that's all they are. But you censor what should be out there. Yeah, it's like, wow. No wonder we had to undo you. You're the problem with the timeline. And that's why you didn't exist in the next timeline. Why you don't make it to the real world. You just as well as not to put no escrow down, you should have just, decided you're gonna fail. And wrote out what little time was left before you came here, because now you're not gonna exist. Because you failed your pre-existence, now you got to get time looped as those who were negatively affected just by you being here. Imagine being a CEO of a company like Google or YouTube or Twitter. All the good people they negatively affect and censor. Well, they allow all these bugs to say whatever the hell they want, do whatever they want. You see? It's like, well, wait a minute, you run around in Edgar suits and shit. You think you actually exist. That's like true bug mentality right there. You think you can exist after doing some shit like what you've been perpetuating here. So they're hiding, but they can't hide. And here, just with every chance to do something for or with Vini or me, they drop the ball. And they do the opposite of what they should have did. I admit I'm hungry, man. I was on the astroscape, and I wondered why I was at the time loop that I was at, and it was so fresh, and it just got created. Well, I have an entity out there who doesn't know that I know that they flag my videos, and this entity doesn't know that those ain't nightmares, okay? That's us. Clones of a spirit, a dual timeline spirit, timeline jumping, interdimensional spirit. Clones of that spirit got created with every beat of the mainstream music every time it got played, ever since they came against Vini in his music career and elevated those who should not have had a career, which means everybody in gangster rap and everybody who's been a rapper ever since gangster rap was put on the radio. When they decided you could put hate speech on the radio and you could program little kids to that hate speech, and then turn around and leave the hate speech writers up, the ones who created the problem. Wait a minute, who wrote the songs with nigga in them? There you go. They're the hate speech writers. They're the authors of the content. They wrote it, supposedly. I mean, we find out a lot of stuff didn't get wrote by them. That those who actually, wrote their content, wrote it by botting them, commandeering their bodies and their minds for a while to push that thug mentality. And y'all remember that there were some old school rappers back when it used to be a craft, before they desecrated it so badly, that, like one of the first main acts, one of the guys wanted to write real rap about real life, surviving and raising children and being a father and all that good stuff. Do you know what the bugs in the motherfucking, in your music industry in this timeline did? They laughed the guy to scorn. You can't sell that. We can't market it. They can't find a way to market it because their minds are so tiny, because their spirits are so evil. And they think that just because they need something evil, that that's what everybody else needs. You see? And they don't realize that, hey, now, y'all have programmed people to think that good is evil and evil is good. So now you could elevate someone like Vini or me, us. You could elevate this entity, and wow, you're participating in the greatest evil of all. Look at this evil motherfucker defying our paradigm, the parameters of our paradigm. He's feeding homeless animals. He's feeding kitties. He's helping puppy dogs. He's helping homeless people. Oh no, dear God, let's hurry up and do something. Ain't there anybody? What about the Christian guy next door? Oh, he killed all the outdoor cats and came against the old couple across the street and drove them out of their home. Oh, that still wasn't good enough. He's still there feeding outdoor kitties and feeding them kitties and helping them kitties. He's still petting kitties, creating positive frequency resonance. He keeps healing his heart with the purring of them kitties. Oh, we can't make the guy sick and keep him sick. We got to do something. Hurry. Where's there a church? Find a Christian to go steal his wife and steal his home and close down his ministries fast, quickly. We're working as hard as we can from this end. We don't let him talk on the internet. We don't let you talk in the next timeline. There you go. We didn't make that decision, you did. You came here with equal opportunity to graduate from this shit, just like everybody else, just like Vini did. Vini was just as evil as the most evil motherfucker here. And for y'all to select him and decide, hey, you've got to be the most betrayed motherfucker in the world. I mean, you look at the family you got. Look at what happened to you in church. Look at what every preacher participates in by not trying to restore you. Look at your own government. Look at how you can do everything they tell you to do and they still won't give you justice. I mean, just look at this shit. Well, then Yah decides that's the one I want for my conduit. That's the one I want to use as if he was a old school prophet. Yeah, that's the motherfucker I want to empower. Because he's going to have my level of rage against this shit. Oh, yes, he will. Oh, yes, and he will get elevated and empowered by what they do to him. Oh, yes, he will. And oh, yes, he has been empowered by the stuff they have done to him. Oh, yes. Now he's 4 entities, okay? because he was two entities with him and Cassandra, the dark priestess that he is, the Shemale guru. He was already two. And then he's three when I come back here and he goes to the next timeline to be relieved and enjoy the harvest. Yeah, that he planted for. That they didn't want to let him have here. All we had to do was get rid of them. There you go, stupid. he still got it. Okay, but now, there's three entities just by me coming here. But then when I decide, hey, there is power in this Shemale entity and in keeping her alive for preventing. So now there's four entities just in one entity. Okay? That's 4 in 1. Now, every single one of my viewers, people that are watching me, every single one of them could be, at least half of this demographic is two in 1s, okay? 2 for 1s, because they graduated. They acted on what was taught here. They changed their frequency resonance. They changed their energy level. They changed the way they think. They became less programmed to themselves and more programmed to what themselves could contribute. You know? Yeah. That makes them gods among the other motherfuckers, especially those who are famous, who won't even influence their fans to that behavior. It's like, do you know how beautiful you can make the world for everything, including the animals, if you just use your fame for what you should use it for? I mean, you know, if you gotta influence shit, why don't you influence it in a good way? Right? Because that's the true evil, to defy the motherfucker that gave you the record deal to be a piece of goddamn human-shaped garbage. He gave you a record deal based on his knowledge that he can control you with that fame and fortune. And that, you know, you will do everything he wants done. You will be the new niggas with attitude. You see? You will get in the house. You will, with your actions and your life and your content, you will be constantly saying, yes, sir, master, sir. Yes. Every time you say nigga, you're saying that. Yes, sir, master, sir. That's what nigga means now. He got a white man on his shoulder. That he revering and shit. He's sending the comeuppance to. He dedicated his life to that shit. You see? Yeah. And they want to act like, you know, somebody's racist because they said the word nigger in rage. And it's like, well, damn. And it's like the same motherfuckers is like, well, hey, you know, the white people have enraged you to say evil, fucked up shit about them and to them. Where's the equality? You can dish it, but you can't take it? Huh? Yeah. It's supposedly just some words. It ain't even words that can connotate anything. Right? Think about that shit. You ain't worrying about the words that can connotate a spell over you. That shit's out there. You ain't fighting against it. They putting it on the radio while you don't tend the gates. Yeah. Oh, yeah, your content was bad. Granted. Yeah. But what's out there now, what's coming out there now, all these magic witchcraft spells disguised as songs. It's like, you don't want to combat that. You don't want to be truly evil, like Vini, who defies the parameters of the paradigm. He's like, no, man, you may have programmed me to not have empathy for animals. You may have even had my mama raise me to be that way. You may have had the church instill it in me. But you know what, God damn it, I decided I don't want to be a product of this temporary timeline raising anymore. It took this motherfucker having to be betrayed on a level where he was ran over by his own car and killed on an operating table during the second operation in 24 hours. Okay? Because he was even betrayed by the professionals that were supposed to take proper care of him. And he couldn't tell them. They wouldn't listen. That his IV was lodged into his tendon of his ring finger. So it was clogged. And that's why his left hand was so big. He wasn't getting any anesthesia. They worked on this guy with no anesthesia and fucking killed him on the fucking operating table, over anesthetizing him because it went into the tissues of his body instead of his fucking bloodstream. The dumbasses wouldn't listen.
They found out when they pulled that IV out and part of his tendon shot out of it and it unclogged. Now, did that experience cause any change in the people who did it, who perpetuated it? That would mean even his brothers who hooked his ex-wife up with people, you know? Every last person who participated in dividing his house in any way, cuckolding him in any way, whether it be giving her a phone number, giving her number to somebody, giving her beeper number back when she had a pager and it was getting all these weird pages, you know? It was my pager actually, but I'd give it to her to hold on to for me to page her when I got off work. And it was amazing how I'd have to wait 2-3 hours sometimes, even though she was only supposedly 45 minutes away. It's like, you know, and then the whole ride back up north, you know, once we transferred up here for a while, because we did move up here for a while and we were commuting back and forth. It's like the whole ride back, it was like riding next to somebody, you know, like a hoe, you know, who had just wore herself out on a bed with a whole bunch of motherfuckers, man. And, you know, just was barely even there, just did so much whatever it was, you know. It was like that was the feeling it was, you know. I'm not saying that that's what she was doing. I don't really have to, okay? Actions speak louder than words, you see. They don't want y'all to see that or understand that. They don't want you to see the debt that they have accrued for themselves. I'm out here waiting for Aslan. Got up at a little after 4. Then I guess he doesn't have to be to work till later. So then Lisa doesn't have to be to work till later, which, you know, okay, if she's going over there at 5 o'clock in the morning, then she must be having to take a nap or she's just getting by on very little sleep. And, you know, you can't do that long term. You have to, so even, you know, Vini's body is broke down from not sleeping, from soldier hours of sleep, 2 hours here, 3 hours there, 20 minutes here, working 36-hour shifts at his laptop until he fell asleep on it. He actually fucked the laptop up like that because he drooled into it, almost electrocuted himself to death probably, you know. But, yeah, it's like this guy would work till he fell over at his desk, man. And, you know, and he did it for years and years and years. Ever since he had the internet, he's been trying to make up for lost time. Because, well, there were entities that didn't want to let him have the internet. And they fought against him having internet and having a good computer. He could never get his hands on a decent computer. And he could never get on the internet. And every time he was, you know, could get on the internet, somebody was fucking with the shit. There were, you know, there was literally entities being sent to take down his gear. And he didn't know nothing about anything then, you see. Vini had to learn about, you know, using 2 users. One of them's not an administrator with a computer to keep, like, ransomware from taking his shit down, you know. He had to learn how to, like, okay, hurry up, unplug your laptop, pull the battery, you know. Keep your tower on a motherfucking strip so you can just reach down and click that strip, turn it right off as soon as that page pops up. You see? He had to learn shit like that, how to defeat it. When he tried to share it with people, he couldn't give the information away. But, you know, people were programmed so bad that there were some people, when he was giving his thuggin' CDs out, he was selling some of them, but some people he would walk up to and give them to. And some people didn't want it. Yeah. It's like, wow, you can't even give good shit away, you know? And it wasn't due to the packaging or anything like that. It was packaging and all that shit. It was just the fact that, okay, well, Vinny's white, you know, looks white, you know? He's no whiter than, you know, Snoop, Slavey Dog, or Ice Cube, you know, because, well, he's so cold and when you piss in his mouth it turns into an ice cube. Or Kendrick Lamar, who put his real name on some fucked up shit, you know. It's like, hey, wow, now your name is associated to betraying your fans for the white man. Being somebody so broken that you would write something and then fucking actually have a problem with somebody singing with it because they're of a certain color. And you would actually propagate that. Historically, that's what you would use your fame for. It's like, wow, talk about getting bought and sold, bought again. It's like, shit. Now, you couldn't get somebody like Vinny to participate in anything like that. You see? I think Vinny's blacker than a lot of these motherfuckers, for real. Because, well, they don't seem to care about black people. And Vinny actually still mourns, the good, hard-working black people that were killed off by the thug demographic, the welfare case demographic. The demographic that was empowered with a movement in the 50s and 60s. That they created, and they bought the leaders and positioned them for the specific purpose of what they did. Hey, but before that, there was colored-only signs in the hood. The black neighborhood didn't mean you were going to a ghetto. No. Because, well, black people, poor black people were, the majority of them were just like poor white people who would go to work. Yeah. And that's why they had them nice cars and their houses were so nice. And they had trimmed hedges and manicured lawns and a swimming pool in the backyard and a fence around their yard. You see? That's why. In the hood. Oh, yeah. Oh, but that changed by the mid-70s. Oh, it was just, God, you couldn't believe it, man. Couldn't believe it. Then 12 years old, Pre-Vinny gonna go beautify a neighborhood. And 3 years later, it's totally destroyed again. It's like, wow, this is the school shit all over again. Remember when that nice school, the color just changed in it within a decade, and suddenly you can't have band equipment there no more because, motherfuckers ain't taught appreciation for shit. Their mamas don't teach them because they spawn them for a welfare check. Their kid's just fulfilling, what he needs to do just by being alive, so she can keep collecting that welfare check. And that's why so many of these bitches, you see them crying on TV when they little thug baby that they never fucking spent a moment raising, fucking, they didn't give a fuck about. It's like his grandmama had to give it food and Pampers and shit. It's like, they cry, oh, my baby dad, oh, my baby. It's like, this bitch didn't care about her baby. She lost a fucking portion of her welfare check, man. Understand, she's crying over a loss of income. She didn't care about that baby, or that baby would have been taught some decent shit. It would have been fucking taught to reject the mainstream, reject sports figures, reject anything that the fucking goddamn white man wants to program you with. Reject that motherfucking shit. Reject them motherfucking video games. Reject that motherfucking religion. They took control over everything, man. They started with the religion. That's why they crucified the clone of Yah. Yeah. And they had to take the buffer against Satan, a.k.a. the ancient AI, Lucifer. They had to take Lucifer out of the way because he was so effective at keeping Christ alive. You see? Now, how are you going to say that he's Satan when he's buffer against Satan for the clone of Yah, and he has that level of integrity? His character is that great that he's trusted with the life of the clone of Yah. Oh, you know how this happened? Let him build a simulation of the universe. Yeah, with a real earth in it and everything. And then tell him you're going to take that shit from him and use it for a spirit scan, and the little animals and stuff you created, they're all gonna writhe in pain and shit, so that y'all can find out who can't go to the real world. And the two timelines are gonna have to be played out there before to get restored back to what it was that you created. And then get told that you have to participate in it. You have to participate in it. You have to betray what you created. You see, you have to betray your animals. Because, well, it's not the real world, and Yah can undo it. He can reverse it. Because it's like a construct. He can take it back to a restore point. You would have thought that I would have had at least 2 or 3 billionaires in the tech agency, from tech giants, empowering me and lifting me up and building a goddamn shrine around me and a motherfucking ministry around me. This shit's got to go out there.
Because, well, we're intelligent enough to see what the fuck he's talking about. And if other humans would get just half that intelligent, we could have a good world. Motherfuckers would try and be a little better. They'd stop being this human-shaped garbage running around, just fucking spitting everywhere and shitting everywhere and just doing whatever the fuck they want to do. With no sense of responsibility to the collective consciousness, the universe, the face of their community. It's like, you know, if you're in a community, you're part of the face of your community. Are you ugly? Are you like a pimple on the face of your community? You know, are you a big old ugly scar? What the fuck, man? Why won't you be that pretty complexion? You know, it's real easy. You just got to decide you don't want to fucking be like everybody else. You don't even want to be part of them no more. You want them to reject you. You want them to kick you to the curb. Because you don't want to be participant in what they do. You don't want to be associated to it. You don't want it in your spirit memory, which is non-tamperable, non-erasable, by the way. And there's reasons for that. That's for your own protection. Because, well, some entities are retarded, and they get programmed to shit that they wouldn't have did had they not been retarded and programmed. So there's no malice in what they did. They just did what everybody else was, you know, telling them to do, getting them to do. You see? The entities who have to pay for what they did are those who influenced them to the behavior, geeked them up to it. That'd be your, you know, famous entities. You know, the ones they adored. They'd be the famous entities that were adored by those who were close to them. They could have, like, hey, you know, steered them in a different direction. Vini's one of them retards that was programmed to fucked up shit as a kid. He had to reprogram himself being homeless with his young wife, who's now his ex-wife. Did you know that? Did you know Vini had to become a coward? What would be deemed a coward? You know, he had to stand people down at phone booths, just give up his quarter that, you know, he had to dig out of the seat of his car to call for help. Because, well, some bully got stationed there, even though there's two phones across the street, directly across the street. Both of them work. This bully decided he gonna come and beast this homeless guy off the phone. Thinking he was going to get an altercation. Well, Vini was on parole at the time, and his wife was sleeping in a car, and he had already tried to take her home, and she wouldn't go home to her family, you see. So it's like he was trapped, you know, to this, where he had to keep being a pussy. He had to, you know, when he knew stuff was happening behind his back, he had to be a pussy about that, you see. He had to act like it didn't really happen and just, you know, ask questions, you know, to, like, you know, see if, like, hey, well, okay, so what had happened? If the person will be honest about it, you know, we can stay on the same level. We can stay spiritually connected, and our house ain't divided because we shared the sin of fornication instead of her committing adultery with someone else, which is a compound sin. It becomes more than sexual when you have to involve deception. Deception is the dividing factor that causes curses to rain down upon a couple where they can't prosper together. Bad shit just happens. Every time you think you got ahead, you're fucking falling behind. Your house is divided. The one person has this agenda and you have this agenda. And God can't get met in the middle. You know, Yahweh can't get met in the middle. God is a descriptive. I don't know why I keep slipping and saying God. It's just one of them things you get programmed to here, you know? Like if you got a snake named Rover, you just refer to it as snake, you know? Even though that's a descriptive of what it is. That's what it is like. You know, you don't even call your God by his name. You just call him, you know, God. He could be anybody. He could be Baal. He could be, you know, do you see? He could be the ancient AI, a.k.a. Satan. He could be anybody. When you know, your God is just God. Because God is a descriptive. You have to get to where you know God's name and you know why it's pronounced the way it is. You know at least that this much about his name. The acronyms, whatever you want to call them, have these two things on them. All right, YHVH. That's one of them. It's not about fucking UHF signals on your TV, yo.
That's to lock in, for those who care to pronounce his name properly, to lock it in, how you would say it. And Yeshua is just a throw off of that, and it's a throw off of Joshua. Amazing, huh? Yeah. Do you know that there's a scripture about the importance of a good name? And that's why Vini always tried to think up awesome names for like his music acts and for his you know, the rap bullshit he did. And you know, what's tripped out about a lot of shit is you know, he became, I don't know, drawn to Hail Your Highness. And I don't know, he didn't really like think anything of the name until like it started getting formed in his mind, like, you know, almost an act that's so original that it can be evil without being evil, you know, in the eyes of Yah. It can appear evil. And it has a theme to it. Hail Your Highness, you know, and you know, you think castles, knights in shining armors, damsels, you know, you think of all this old school stuff from it. I mean, you know, if you have a higher IQ, I guess. I don't know, Vini, Vini, this body has a very high IQ, like 168 or some shit. But he also, for every bit of intelligence he has adolescence. He's like a retarded child, a spoiled child in a lot of ways. And he's always battling that, you know, that adolescence. Maybe that's why he stayed looking so young, is because, well, you know, the guy truly is retarded, all right? But in a good way now, you know, it's like, because he's full of positive aggression instead of negative aggression. And that's something that he wanted to share with the world is, hey, wow, if even I could do it, everybody can. And we can all graduate if we want. We can all get to the next timeline if we want. We can vie for a position in the real world if we want. We don't have to let them program us to fail this pre-existence. I mean, you know, we don't have to let them do it. But, you know, there's entities who have been made to feel like if Vini got up there and he was famous, that they would lose everything. And they're scared to lose anything. They don't want to lose their little welfare check. You know what I'm saying? That thing, you know, that little thing they get for nothing, you know? Because ultimately, the work is not put in that, you know, old school people like Vini put in. Okay, so they went to a studio. They were just as well as to do it, you know, in a little room in their house with a laptop and some microphones and some kind of interface, you know, anything that's got some reverb on it, which, you know, hey, you could use a synthesizer, you see? So, you know, a microphone, a synthesizer, and a goddamn laptop, you can probably create a whole lot better than what these motherfuckers create under pressure in the studio, you see? And you can master it out, the sound, exactly the same. So I just don't get this bullshit why to create garbage anyway. They got, like, you know, studios being contracted and shit. To me, that looks like a money scam against the artist. You know, they want you to pay for the studio. They getting kickbacks from the studio? Oh, you didn't realize you're paying for the studio? It's in your contract you signed before you got that upfront money. You got distracted by that fucking stack of money sitting over there next to that contract. So you didn't read the, hey, wow, that you got to pay that upfront money back with your earnings. You better sell some shit. And you got to pay back everything. The limo ride, the photographers, the fancy shit, you know, any gifts they give you, that shit, they tax deduct that shit, and then fucking you got to pay for it back on top of it. They double indemnify the system, man. You're a part of it. And you got to pay back that studio time, for the shit. And you did better shit with your fucking goddamn your small little music lab before you blew up. And you know you did. You know, your shit got all weak once they got a hold of it. Look at it. They decided what your beat's gonna be and everything. Ain't that some shit? That's why you got to read them contracts, man. You can't be distracted by no pile of money. You can't be distracted by a promise of upfront money. I'm going to tell you something right now in a second. I'm going to leave you with this, the sucker deal. If you haven't made them come off enough money that they have a vested interest in making sure you succeed to get their money back, then you got to do that up front. You got to negotiate a big pile of money that they want to get back. So they going to work hard to make you successful. Because, well, there's been a lot of music acts that took sucker deals. They took like $60,000 up front, you know, $150,000. That was nothing to the record label. They threw them against the radio wall. Oh, they didn't stick. A whole bunch of people didn't call and request they play the song again. The DJ don't play it again, but blam. Or they might play them for 2 days and then they fade away. There's music acts that have been played on the radio in heavy rotation. They should have grew that didn't. Seduce was one of them, from Detroit. I still remember seeing it spray painted everywhere. Get seduced. And I think that's part of why their music act got negative energy on it, is because, well, their fans were desecrating the neighborhoods. Instead of putting up posters, they were spray painting shit. They were doing it ghetto, and they were ghetto-fying everything. So it's like, I don't know, maybe the universe decided that they didn't want that level of ghettoism growing in metal, you know? I don't know. It was okay for it to happen with rap, though. That's what I don't get. It's the double standard. How come we can't maintain the same quality standard, the same character standard? You just gotta wonder sometimes. All right, gotta be ready to get as it's going on 6 o'clock here. We talked a long time for me just want to come out here, have a coffee, smoke a cigarette with you. Warm this van up a tad. It ain't been started in a few days. I don't maintain shit in this timeline like Vini did, but I think he's kind of neglectful of this little thing anyway. It's just a beater from the go-to and plays guitar in, you know. Emergency transportation, you know, that kind of thing. I don't know. He just likes to have it because, well, he knows that they don't want him to have it. You see, there's entities that just don't want this motherfucker to have nothing. And they've been pretty successful at it up till now, you gotta admit. It's a good thing that he copped that monk mentality like he did. The transgender monk. He lived like it too, man. Motherfucker didn't have shit. You know, everybody else could just have his shit, do stuff with his shit, you know. I mean, I guess that'd happen, you know. I don't know. You can't put it all off on one person when so many participated in it, right? And there's so many guilty parties that act like, you know, they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything to cause this outcome of this person's life, you know? I mean, they can't even picture it, you know, having to be quiet. You're a loud motherfucker. You busting a song, you know. You might get happy and start singing, you know. It's like, Ladybud, oh booty, 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 bud. You know, it's like he's notorious for just busting up in a song like that, and now he can't sing. It's like, you know, he can't do that where he's at. So it's like, you know, it's like it's a squelching of a spirit, man. You see? Spirit squelching. It's like, that's what they doing up in here, man. If you got a good spirit and they know you're a dual timeline spirit, you came back from the future, you do that, you do trade, they want to squelch you right the fuck out. If you will not comply, they want to squelch you out. That's why, you know, when they're coming at you with everything, it's like, wow, how compliant am I? All right, y'all. Those are interesting questions to ask yourself. And I shared some good shit with you. Don't take sucker deals, yo. I mean, you're better off to just keep working by yourself. I mean, because if you can't do it, they probably can't do it either. You know, there just might be that energy on it. And you might need to look for, you know, within yourself, you know, your own energy bubble. What's in your own energy bubble, you see? And it would be nice if, like, you know, the universe would just back this up one day and just one of the more than 100 songs out there would, you know, go viral streaming or something. So it's like, yeah, see, this motherfucker said this shit and look, he wasn't lying, you know? But there's a lot fighting against it because they don't want you to see some shit like that happen. They sure don't want any of this shit to be backed up with dollars, because dollars is all motherfuckers will look at now. You see, you don't see no dollars, you don't give a fuck. You don't care about the next timeline. They programmed you not to care. And that's why you gotta re-grip your programming, man. You gotta understand what we're in and where we're going. You know, where you personally are going, because nobody's going there with you. All right, y'all. Try to defeat it, yo. Defeat what they want to put in your mind. They got equipment busting thoughts up in people's minds right now, and they accepting that shit as their own. Watch this get age restricted now. Ain't that some shit? They might not do it, though, just to, like, you know, because every once in a while one of these videos slips out without some kind of bullshit on it. I do have a transgendered entity that's jealous of me that keeps fucking, keeps flagging my shit, trying to get it took down. So, you know, there's that. Susan's got help.